Good afternoon, Daviess County Judge-Executive Al Mattingly here. I thought that this afternoon it would be appropriate that we talk to one of our local elected county officials, Rachel Pence Foster. Rachel is the Property Valuation Administrator for Daviess County. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you.
And I just want to let everyone know that you can always go back and rewatch this on Facebook or on YouTube. We are streaming live. If you have any questions, anything that you ever wanted to know about the how your property is valued, then you can text them in to us or email them to us, and we'll ask the expert. So Rachel, once again, welcome. Let's get right into it. First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you come from, who your family was, and those kinds of things.
Yes, Judge, I grew up here in Daviess County. Most of my family lives in Knoxville. I attended Daviess County High School, went on to graduate with my Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education from Western Kentucky University. I began in the PVA office in 2002, worked here until December of 2013. I was appointed by Governor Beshear at that time, older Governor Beshear at that time, to fulfill the one-year term left in my predecessor's term. And then I ran a full election in 2014 and was elected by the voters of Daviess County to become Daviess County Property Valuation Office. Some of my background, which has really helped out tremendously, that I never realized I would use so much, was at the age of probably 12 or 13, I knew what the PVA office was because I helped my dad research and do land surveying. I knew how to read an aerial map, knew how to read boundary lines, so it's helped me tremendously.
Yeah, the name Pence has had a relationship here in Daviess County for quite some time.
Yes.
You talked about it, elementary education, but all of a sudden you're here valuing property. And I remember when my good friend Sandy Dowdy retired, and you took over. So did the governor just grab somebody out of the pot, or did you have to test for this? Did you have to have any qualifications, or was it just through the good graces of Governor, I think then Governor Beshear, not by knowing him?
No, you actually there was a test given, and of those people that passed the test, then the governor picked someone from those names that passed the test. There was actually two of us that had experience. Because I had more experience, I believe that's why I was chosen.
Okay. So, there are a lot of people out there who would tell you that how their property is valued is a complete mystery. I've heard many people say before, well, if you think it's worth that, I'll sell it to you for that. And then they'd turn around and wouldn't take a penny less than 10 times that sometimes. You are an elected official. You are elected by the people of Daviess County, but you actually are an arm of the state government. Is that correct?
I am considered a state official with county jurisdiction, elected
right.
local.
You froze just a little bit. So in that respect, you're in your office every day here in Daviess County, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But it's the state who pretty much directs and sets the parameters that you use to value property.
The PVA office is directly under the Department of Revenue. Okay.
So why every year? Tell us how I know that we divide the county, I think, into 4 quadrants. So that means that you are going to revalue property about every 4 years. Why every 4 years?
Well, I'm required by law to assess property every property every year. I'm also further supposed to physically inspect every 4 years. So Just because you're not in the quad and you take out a permit, or I see a really hot subdivision that my assessments are very low, I can absolutely change the assessments in that subdivision, not necessarily in the quad.
So do you have folks in your office that go into the field?
Yes.
Okay.
to help.
Do you also use the latest in technology like Google Earth and things like that?
Yes, absolutely. We just had brand new aerial flights flown. They were flown December 2020. I utilize those, especially on the big farms that, we don't go trekking out there across the field to measure a barn. We'll measure those from the aerial map. So yes, of course, we use technology. I have laser measures, so we can stand back from the house and measure. We always knock on every door if we're going to be on the property and leave a door hanger to let them know that we were there.
So this truly is a case of big sister watching over you.
Not necessarily. Just do my job.
Oh, that's a joke. That's a joke. So I buy my house for $100,000, and in a couple of years I get my property tax bill, and it shows my house is valued at $150,000. How in the world does that happen?
You set the market. The individuals of each neighborhood and of the area set the market. So if you did buy that house for $100,000, I mean, there's several factors. It could have been an older couple that had never done anything to the home. You got it for $100,000. You put in 30 or 40 of it. It absolutely could be worth 150 a couple of years after purchase, but only if the other homes in that area are selling for that much.
Right. So what you're doing, you're using comps in the neighborhood to figure the value, but aren't there some basic values that you use?
We mass assess. So every sale that comes through, we break it down to a price per square foot and apply that price per square foot when we're doing our reassessment in that area. We apply that price per square foot to that home. Not every home is the same. We are required by law, if we change your assessment, to send you a notice of increase, which I'm in the process of printing them right now for the 2021 year. We required by law first class mail to notify that your assessment is going up, and you have time to come in and talk to me because we do not go in the inside of your home. I have no idea what it looks like. It could be in disrepair. You may need you may have plumbing issues that I'm not aware of. And there's time to come in and talk to me about it.
Okay, so getting into that time of appeal, where you assess my property, I don't think it's worth what you've assessed it at. So I have an opportunity to come in and talk to you or talk to an appeals board and that happens every year. Now last year things got kind of squirrely, but typically when is that appeal timeline? What is the appeal timeline?
Okay, I want to also just clear something up. I have a free website. It's www.daviesskypva.org. So there are many people on there seeing their assessment for 2021 and calling me now to discuss it. And I can absolutely discuss it and fill out. But by law, there has to be a mandated period of time, which is the first 13 days in May, including Saturday from 8 to noon. That's actually the time period that I have to set aside to address any questions, but I can before that period.
Sure.
The reason that period is there is because one day after the close of inspection period is the last day to appeal at the clerk's office to go before the local board of appeals. So there's a timeline process.
Okay.
But don't be hesitant if you see something going on with your property not to call me now.
Okay. So let's give them a little advice. I don't think my house is worth what it's been assessed at, and I'm going to come in and talk to you about it. Should I bring any supporting documents, or should I just come in and say, Miss Foster, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This house is not worth this. I'll be happy to take whatever you have assessed it at. Or does that get you very far, or do you get further if you bring in some comparable sales in the neighborhood, pictures of a leaking roof, pictures of plumbing that's falling apart?
Absolutely, absolutely. Any kind of documentation showing me why you don't think your property is worth what I have it assessed at. Now, if you do come in with, I do talk to people all the time without any documentation, but the first question, first thing I go over with them is to make sure I have all the building characteristics correct. Do I have the correct square footage? Is there detached garage, attached garage? We go over everything in detail. And then I ask their opinion of value. Okay, if I'm wrong, what are you thinking? What do you think is more correct? What do you think you could sell it for, and why? So I do discuss it. Then I show them my side of why it's at that assessment.
And let me just stop for a second, folks, and tell you that Ms. Foster is very reasonable. I've gone in and talked to her, take my judge executive hat off, go in and say, Rachel, this is Al Mattingly, citizen, and I have a piece of property. I don't think it's proper. Now, I've not always gotten it put down to where I thought it should have been, but it's been a very nice give and take, and she's very reasonable. Don't be afraid to take advantage. Yeah, don't be afraid. She'll handle you. If she can handle my Uncle Bobby and satisfy him, she can handle and satisfy anybody. So let's say that I don't like the result. I don't like the result of my conversation with you. Do I have an appeals process?
Yes, there is an appeals process. That what you'll do is you'll fill out paperwork at the county clerk's office, and they act as basically, you don't fill it out here, you fill it out at the clerk's office, and they handle all of that paperwork because I have a side and you have a side. And then there's a date set. It has to be between, it's very specific, 25 and 35 days after the close of inspection period. We have to have a local board of appeals meeting. There's 3 board members. 1 board member is appointed by the Judge-Executive by himself. 1 is appointed by fiscal court as a whole, and then 1 is appointed by the mayor. And those 3 people act as the local board of appeals. It's a 3-year term. So each time they appoint someone, it is a 3-year term. They hear your side and they hear my side, and they make a ruling. If you still don't agree with that ruling, you can absolutely appeal to the State Board of Appeals, and it keeps going on up all the way to Supreme Court.
Okay. Now, those people who sit on the appeals board, Rachel, they're everyday people, your neighbor, your friend, your local realtor or banker or whomever, but they do have some expertise in real estate, in housing, and those kinds of things. So,
yes.
Now, you just went through, and you were involved in quite a bit of it, I suspect, and I know my good friend Sandy was, when Owensboro and Daviess County put $150 million into downtown, prices for downtown property exploded. Did that present some unforeseen consequences to your office? Did you have a lot of people coming in and talking to you about that?
Sure. That was about the time that the website was available. So there was many people that was able to get on the website and look at the sales. The assessments weren't raised because 150 million was put downtown. It was raised because everybody was paying those prices for the property downtown.
Yes.
And I got several questions. You're just raised my assessment to pay for downtown. No, I don't have anything to do with that. I am a completely separate agency from city and county government.
Well, and I might state that the $150 million raised for downtown came from an increase in insurance tax for both the city and the county. It didn't come from an increase in property taxes. It absolutely all came from that insurance tax. So, and I had a fellow call me. We were getting calls up here, and I simply said, so you're mad because your property went from $100,000 to $750,000. You've got 3 buyers wanting to buy it, and you paid $20,000 for it. I'll take that deal every day. When I turned 65, when my wife and I turned 65, we were able to get a what's called a homestead exemption. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, great. I'm glad you brought that up. It was on my list to make sure we touched on that. If you are 65 years or older and live in of course, own your home, and a lot of people get a little confused about that. They ask, well, I've got it mortgaged. I don't own it all the way. You own your home. You're right. You have a loan to buy.
You own the home and you own the mortgage.
Yes, you own both. Yes, but it has to be in your name, Judge. So you cannot come in and apply if the house was just in Judy's name and you said Judy wasn't 65 yet and you are. I cannot grant that homestead. So it has to be in your name. You have to be the recorded owner January 1st and be 65 years or older. There's also what you call a disability exemption. You don't have to be 65, but you do have to be 100% disabled through an organization.
What is the homestead exemption worth now? I don't even know what the discount is on the property value.
40,500. It went up for year 2021. So if your home is assessed at $100,500, we take out 40,500 off of that, and you're taxed on 60,000. So
now it's not a percentage basis. So if you had a $50,000 home, would you get the $40,000 exemption?
Yes, and you get a tax bill on $9,500.
Yeah. Okay. There is some confusion. I've heard some folks who live in Florida half a year, live in Daviess County half a year, own a home in Florida, own a home here in Daviess County. And apparently Daviess County isn't, or the Commonwealth of Kentucky isn't the only state that allows a homestead exemption. It's allowed in both places. Am I allowed to take both exemptions?
No. It is where your driver's license is, where you vote, and your driving license is, so driver's license. So that's the first thing we ask. And if they present a Florida license, we don't give that to them. It has to be a Kentucky license, and it has to have this address on it. And Florida checks as well. Almost every homestead, if they ask. We ask the question too, do you own any other, are you receiving the homestead on any other property?
Yeah, and I've had a call like that before, and have had some folks who they actually mistakenly took both exemptions, got checked, and what they had to do was, and we're not going back and checking for the last 10 years. We just want to get it correct and proper and going forward, not looking to throw anybody in jail. How's your office financed? I mean, you don't get any taxes. Everybody, I jokingly blame you for people's property tax, but that's a tax that Daviess County Fiscal Court places on people. The city of Owensboro places a property tax on the residents of the city, but you don't have that ability. Where do your revenues come from? How are your revenues generated?
So city and county governments buy my tax roll. So fiscal court pays me for my tax roll that I've kept up with all year, and the city does, and then the city of Whitesville pays a small amount.
It's a fee for service. We're paying you a fee for the service that you're providing. So, exactly. And then we take that value and we apply our property tax rates to that value. You don't get in. You are dealing only with real property, correct?
Yes, tangible property and real property.
You don't get into the intangible stuff, the automobiles and things like that.
Automobiles, yes. That's real property, yes.
Okay, so you are there. Okay.
Yes, if you don't like the value on that red and white card that you get from the clerk's office, that's my office. Okay. A lot of times if something's not right, it'll say PVA on it, and you'll have to come in here and.
You're right. I remember seeing that on Judy. We had a vehicle that we relicensed, and it did say go to the PVA and see them. So you are involved there. So what kinds of things? Personal property like clothing, furniture, those kinds of things you're not involved in.
I am involved in the fact that those are required to be listed in our office on the proper tangible property tax return. A lot of times your accountant does it. It comes to our office, and we data enter it into a state system. And then it's the bill. It's very interesting. Then they give it back to me all to put together. I put it into my system, and the sheriff does bill for it. Okay. But those numbers, the values, are given us directly from the taxpayer. They're listing their property.
I had a question that just slipped my mind. That's amazing. Now
I do want to say something about the vehicles, though.
Okay. Yes.
Feel like that a vehicle assessment is too high, or you have questions, or you just don't understand where it came from. I'd be happy to talk to you about those values. And also, if you feel like you have high mileage, drive the vehicle down here so we can take a look at it. Take a look at the mileage.
So any other questions I remember now, you mentioned you can go online and access property values and things. Is there a fee to do that, or is that a free service?
Daviess County is free. That is up to each individual PVA, whether they charge or not. I feel like it's a service that I can afford to give. So I do require a username and password. This helps me. I cannot see what you're looking at. You can look up every single one of your neighbors. I have no idea. I just see that you looked up 50 properties on X date. I like to keep the numbers because I like to see basically everyone, just taking a look for themselves. I mean, it's public information, and you should be allowed access to it. So.
Do you, did have a question, and it's, what is the website to review assessment values or assessment info? Do you have that for the folks?
www.Daviess, KYPVA, Paul Victor Adam, .org. You do have to sign up for a username and password, but then it is free. You never have to do anything else again. Okay, so that's www.Daviess, and that's Daviess, Daviess, KYPVA.org. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, just a couple more questions, and we're getting along here pretty quick, but tell me, can somebody go on there, print off the PVA card, or get a copy of that PVA card and use that for a deed or a description of their property? Is that a fit? You see what I'm saying? So I go to the PVA and you show my property being X number of feet wide, X number of feet deep. And now when I sell it to somebody and I say, yeah, here's the PVA, here's my deed. That's not where deeds are recorded.
No. Deeds are recorded at the county clerk's office.
Okay. So I know there have been property disputes in the past, and people would point to PVA, and that's a good start. But I think what you need to do is you need to go to the court clerk or the county clerk, find where the deed was recorded, and probably going to end up having a surveyor come out and actually find the pins and show you exactly where your property is. And I would always suggest that be done when you're purchasing property, because it's amazing what easements you find that pass through your property that you're not aware of if you don't have a realtor or an attorney there to describe it and let you know.
Absolutely.
Rachel, what else goes on that we haven't talked about down there that you would like to tell people about your office?
Wow, we touched on almost everything.
Let me touch on this. You got a really great staff, and I want to brag on the PVA. Never shut down during the pandemic, did you?
No, sir.
We stayed open. The fiscal court office stayed open. PVA stayed open. The sheriff stayed open, and the circuit court. So everybody that was located in this building stayed open to serve the public, which is exactly what we were all elected to do. Rachel, look forward to having you on again in the future so we can talk some more about it. And I look forward to seeing you when you raise the value of my house and I have a dispute with you on that. Okay.
This year, I think look in your mail on the 24th or 25th of April.
All right. Well, I'll do it. So until I see you again, thank you, Rachel.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.